Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast. In this episode, we're helping you in your IELTS test prep. Or if you're not taking the test but want to improve your fluency around people who inspire you, then keep listening, because in this IELTS episode, we're going to be going over the question from part 2, describe a person who has inspired you. I wonder how confident you feel right now to give an answer to this that could actually score you a band 9. And if you're not feeling overly confident about that, then I reckon by the end of this episode, you might be able to do exactly that, because today we're going to listen to 3 answers to that question. You'll hear a band 5, a band 7, and a band 9 version, all about one of Britain's most inspiring people, Sir David Attenborough. And together we'll look at what makes each one different: the grammar, the vocabulary, the fluency, and the confidence. So you can start shaping your own answers to sound more natural, more expressive, and ultimately more like a band 9 speaker. So yes, get comfy, grab a cuppa if you fancy one, and let's start with the band 5 version. Oh, and before I forget, I've made a free IELTS lesson pack that goes even deeper with 5 more part 2 questions with model answers and short exercises you can practice with at home. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or you'll find it in the description box or the pinned comment below. All right, let's start with the band 5 answer, shall we? Okay, so the cue card reads this: describe a person who has inspired you. You should say who the person is, how you know them, what qualities they have, and explain how they inspire you. All right, so now let's go into the band 5 answer, and then we'll analyze why it gets the mark it gets. Okay, so I'm now going to imitate somebody who is non-native trying to give an answer in the IELTS speaking exam who comes in at around a band 5. All right, can you spot where their limitations lie? So I might say, I want to talk about David Attenborough, who is one of the most famous nature people in the world. I think he's from England, and he make documentaries about animals and the environment. I started watching his programs when I was small, and even now I still see him on Netflix or BBC. He's very old, almost 100, but he still go around and record things which I find really inspiring. What I really like is that he speaks very calm, and you can feel he really loves nature from his heart. Sometimes when he talks about animals dying or the earth getting worse, I feel emotional. It's not only like a TV guy, but kind of like a teacher for the whole world, because he tries to make people realize that we are destroying the planet. So yeah, I think he's very special person, and I hope I can do something similar in my life, help the planet like he does. Okay, so that was the band 5 answer. Now let's go over why that would get a band 5, in my opinion, by breaking down the marking criteria. So first up, we've got fluency and coherence. There's a lot of hesitation in the way that I did it. There's some filler language like, and self-correction. I sometimes said he speak. I should have said he speaks. So that signals a lack of confidence in real-time speech. The ideas are logical but the sentences often lose structure halfway through, which is a classic feature of someone trying to express complex thoughts before they've built the fluency to hold them together, which is a very common issue because for adult learners, because if you think about it, you have really sophisticated thoughts in your own language, and very often you want to try and migrate those thoughts into this new foreign language. But really what we want to do until we get the fluency going, until we have the grammar down, we want to stay in our lane. We want to stay with some basic sentences using the correct grammar structure that we've learnt, and not try to get too complicated too soon. Otherwise, it sounds discombobulated, or it sounds a little bit confusing. Because if you think about the journey of a native with any language as they grow up, they don't have sophisticated thoughts at the beginning. You know, a baby is not going to be talking about the political agenda of 2026. They're thinking milk. That's it, right? I don't know how old we are when we evolve beyond just milk, poo, sleep. But, you know, we gradually get more and more sophisticated thoughts, and the vocabulary grows with us. What we want to do is we want to try and mirror that. So avoid trying to do too complex sentences, basically. All right, let's now talk about grammar. There were some verb agreement errors. I think I said he make documentaries. I might have also said he speak very calmly. May have said speaks, can't remember. But that's the point that I'm making. Try not to make those grammar errors. And then some tense slips, like I started watch instead of I started watching, or there was another one that I used the non-ing form. So those things you need to look out for. And then occasional sentence fragments or unfinished thoughts, like he's not only like a TV guy, but ... And I kind of didn't finish my thought very well. And again, what this shows is ambition without accuracy. And that's perfectly typical of a band 5. The speaker's trying to stretch their English, but the grammar control just can't quite keep up. And then vocabulary. Actually, it wasn't too bad. Destroying the planet, for example, that was quite good. And then from his heart, emotional, inspiring. But some combinations were a little bit unnatural, like nature people, the TV guy, that was weird. He speaks very calm instead of calmly. That's what we call collocational inaccuracy, when words are understandable but don't naturally fit together. And then pronunciation. This was sort of hard to do because of my accent. I didn't want to sort of mimic a non-native. It would be very varied, inaccurate, and not very helpful for you, I don't think. But it could be that it was mostly clear, but slightly uneven rhythm and stress patterns. That would be the most common thing for a band 5. For example, he speak very calmly. If I was to say it like that, that sounds really robotic, right? Whereas if I said he speaks very calmly, it's much more flowing. So you'd expect that from a higher band than band 5. So let's think about how to improve from these points. So slow down and structure ideas before you speak. You can sound more fluent simply by pausing strategically rather than filling space with or like. And I think a native might pause after a so quite naturally. So what I think makes an inspiring person is how they deliver themselves, blah, blah, blah. So I really paused after the so and after the verb to be is. What I think is, I think that's really normal. Like I would be very happy to wait for somebody to pause at that point. It doesn't signal to me that they're lacking in vocabulary. It signals that they're thinking in a more profound way and collecting their thoughts before they want to deliver the next word of the sequence that they're about to say. So yeah, pausing there instead of using filler words. Going beyond that, you could practice high-frequency collocations around familiar IELTS topics. For this one, you could say something like, raise awareness of environmental issues. He raises the awareness, or our awareness. He raises our awareness of environmental issues. Another one could be passionate about protecting the planet. So he is passionate about protecting the planet. Or maybe dedicate one's life to nature conservation. Yeah. So think about those kind of phrases, and then in the answer, you're more likely to deliver them in a more natural way in terms of collocations. Now, if you're thinking, all right, Charlie, that was super helpful for this question, but what about the other part 2 topics I might get? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. I've put together a free PDF lesson pack with 5 more IELTS speaking part 2 questions, just like this one. And for each one, I give you a band 5, band 7, and band 9 model answers, along with short explanations and mini exercises to help you build your own response. It's completely free. And honestly, it's one of the best ways to train your ear and your instinct for what sounds band 5, band 7, band 9. You can grab it right now by scanning the QR code on screen right now. If you're listening on Spotify, then there is a video version of this. So open your screen and click video player or video episode, and then you'll be able to see my face, hello, and the QR code right now. So you could scan that, or you could click the link in the description box or show notes or the pinned comment below. That will take you to a quick sign up page. Pop your name and email in there, and I'll send you the whole pack straight to your inbox. So if you're serious about pushing your IELTS speaking score higher and actually feeling confident in the exam, don't skip that part. This free guide gives you everything you need to train smarter and not harder. Okay, you ready for band 7 now? We're leveling up now. So remember, the cue card says, describe a person who has inspired you. You should say who the person is, how you know them, what qualities they have, and explain how they inspire you. Okay, so let's hear what a band 7 version of this answer would sound like. A person who has really inspired me is Sir David Attenborough, the British broadcaster and natural historian. He's been creating nature documentaries for, I think, more than 60 years now. And he's basically become the voice of the natural world. I first came across him when I was a child. My family used to watch Planet Earth and Blue Planet together on Sunday evenings. And even back then, I remember feeling completely amazed by the way he spoke about animals and the environment. He didn't just describe what was happening, he made you feel it. I think that's one of the biggest talents. What I admire most is his calm, patient way of explaining quite complicated ideas. He never tries to sound too scientific or too emotional. It's this perfect balance that keeps people listening. And even though he's in his 90s now, he's still working, still traveling, and still encouraging people to care about the planet. And that kind of lifelong dedication really motivates me. I also find it inspiring that he's managed to adapt with technology and new generations. He's on Netflix. He uses social media clips. He's constantly finding ways to reach people without losing his authenticity. It shows that passion doesn't have to fade with age. And whenever I watch his programs, I end up thinking about my own choices that affect the environment. So he makes me want to live more responsibly and to find work that feels meaningful, just like he does. Okay, there we go. Band 7, done. So what did you think of that? If we were to break it down and think about the fluency and coherence, this version, this sounds pretty confident and I kept a steady, natural flow for nearly 2 minutes, which is exactly what examiners look for at Band 7. And the ideas follow the cue card really well. Who is he? How do you know him? What are his qualities? And why does he inspire you? There's a clear topic development with smooth transitions. First come across him, or what I admire most, or I also find it inspiring. However, some phrasing still sounds slightly rehearsed. Phrases like voice of the natural world and lifelong dedication, they're good, but they feel a bit memorized. And it's tricky because I imagine you might think it's a great idea to memorize a lot of answers, but I think the examiner can tell really easily. Like, this is their job. Every single day they're listening to these answers. So they will be able to cotton on to some of the best actors, I'm sure. They would just be able to know whether this is rehearsed or whether this is your organic vocabulary coming out in the now. So to reach a band 8 or above, the delivery needs to sound a little more spontaneous with flexible rephrasing or familiar ideas. I'd say there's also a mild over-structuring of every paragraph. It's almost too neat, almost like an essay. A native speaker would weave ideas together more conversationally with phrases like, and another thing I love about him, blah, blah, blah. Or, it's funny because blah, blah, blah. Let's move on to vocabulary. I think there was a very solid range. We had documentaries, environment, authenticity, lifelong dedication, complicated ideas, collocations. They were pretty accurate, like care about the planet, reach people, live more responsibly. A few word choices are slightly textbook sounding, encouraging people to care, or quite complicated ideas. They're safe and clear, but not idiomatic. Adding expressions like he's a national treasure or he's dedicated his life to raising awareness would push this to a band 8. So overall lexical resource easily sits in the high band 7 range. It was varied, appropriate, but still a little bit cautious. Moving on to grammar, there was strong control and visible complexity. There was the present perfect continuous. I think he's been creating documentaries. Yeah. Then there were what's called as concessive clauses, meaning like introducing an alternative idea. So he said, even though he's in his 90s, blah, blah, blah. Or I can't remember if I said it. I said the point and then I said the contrary thing, even though he's in his 90s. But yeah, so that was quite nice. And then I also think I said, who has inspired me, or which I find inspiring. And these are good clauses. I think they're called non-defining relative clauses, but they're good. They help. To reach band 8 and above, the speaker should be able to show that they can vary clause types. Like, having spent his whole life exploring the planet, he's become a symbol of curiosity and respect for nature. But yeah, overall, this is a strong band 7 because the speech is fluent and easy to follow. The vocabulary is precise and appropriate. The grammar is complex and mostly accurate. And, depending on how I delivered it, pronunciation is clear and natural. To push higher, the speaker needs to use more idiomatic or emotional phrasing. And then also vary sentence rhythm. So mix short emotional statements with longer reflective ones. And loosen the structure to sound more spontaneous and conversational. But yeah, in short, band 7 is very impressive, confident and meaningful, but it still plays things a little bit safe. All right, so band 5 and band 7 done with. We're now going to go on to the gold standard, the band 9 answer. Again, the cue card reads, describe a person who has inspired you. You should say who the person is, how you know them, what qualities they have, and explain how they inspire you. All right, let's load up that band 9 IELTS candidate. Well, I'd say the person who's inspired me most is Sir David Attenborough, who to me is almost like the voice of the planet. He's a British natural historian and broadcaster who's spent his entire life sharing the beauty of the natural world through documentaries. I've been watching his programs since I was a kid, Planet Earth, The Blue Planet, Life on Earth, all of them. And I remember being completely mesmerized, not just by the footage, but by the way he spoke. His voice has this calm, reassuring tone that makes even the most terrifying scenes, like a crocodile attack, somehow sound poetic. But what I think really sets him apart is his ability to connect emotion with education. He doesn't preach, he just shows you the reality, and you come away feeling both amazed and responsible. I think he's in his 90s now, yet he's still narrating, still campaigning for environmental change, which is just incredible. And I think what inspires me most is his consistency, that quiet determination to just keep going, even when the world seems a bit indifferent. I think he's proof that passion doesn't fade with age. Every time I watch one of his documentaries, I'm reminded that one person can make an enormous difference simply by caring deeply and communicating clearly. So yeah, for me, he's more than just a presenter. He's someone who's genuinely changed how we see our planet. And that's a legacy anyone would be proud of. End scene. Okay, so that was band 9. What did you think about that one? If we look at the fluency and coherence, this answer, it flows, I would say, kind of effortlessly. There's a natural rhythm and smooth progression of ideas. There's not really many awkward pauses, fillers, or self-corrections. I sound comfortable thinking in English, not just translating it. And transitions are subtle but cohesive. Like, I've been watching his programs since I was a kid. What really sets him apart, though, blah, blah, blah. And another one, I think what inspires me most is that's really natural. So notice how the phrasing feels conversational yet structured, like a natural story unfolding. It's not a memorized speech. And that's a hallmark of band 9 fluency, saying, well, I'd say this. That tone immediately sets the whole thing off. It sounds lived, casual, and confident, something that native speakers do constantly. When it comes to the vocabulary, pretty good, pretty bloody good, right? And the precision of it, the vocabulary isn't just advanced, it's appropriate and expressive, like mesmerized, or connect emotion with education. I think I said quiet determination and legacy anyone would be proud of. That phrase, it's not too fancy, but it's really natural. Then the idiomatic phrasing, he doesn't preach. Passion doesn't fade with age. And then one person can make an enormous difference. These feel really authentic and not forced. I sound like I understand connotation and tone, and importantly, none of it sounds like a thesaurus dump. It's all in service of meaning and emotion, and that's what separates a band 9 from a band 8, the control and naturalness. As for grammar, Complex structures are used, but they're used naturally, like a relative clause, like who spent his entire life sharing, blah, blah, blah. Or I like the bit when I said, even when the world seems a bit indifferent. That was a nice clause. We used contrastive linking. He doesn't preach, he just shows you the reality. That was quite good. And then we had like, I think they're called inversions and modifiers. Like I said, so yeah, for me, he's more than just a presenter. And then I don't think there were any grammatical errors. No awkward phrasing. Sentence rhythm was varied. There were long reflective ideas balanced with short punchy comments like, he's proof that passion doesn't fade with age. That variation gives the speech melody and realism. I think this is a band 9 because it's effortlessly fluent, no hesitations, logical structure, engaging flow. There was sophisticated yet natural vocabulary. There was idiomatic usage, and it was precise and expressive. Advanced grammar, there was good control of it. Complex forms used seamlessly, and then the authentic emotional tone sounded human, not rehearsed. So yeah, it doesn't sound like the user is doing an IELTS answer. It sounds like someone is inspired by somebody and they're wanting to tell you why. But there we have it. 3 very different answers to the same question. Describe a person who has inspired you. And this was in the IELTS Speaking Exam Part 2 question. Hopefully, by hearing those Band 5, Band 7 and Band 9 versions side by side, you can now hear exactly what the examiner is listening for, not just in grammar or vocabulary, but in confidence, flow, and natural phrasing. So if you enjoyed this episode and want to keep improving your IELTS speaking skills, I've put together a free IELTS lesson pack for you. It includes 5 more practice questions, model answers, and short exercises to help you apply what you've just learned. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now or clicking the link in the description box or show notes. And if you're not taking the IELTS but still want to sound more natural and fluent in British English, you'll find loads of lessons and resources waiting for you inside the Academy, including interactive courses, transcripts, and live classes with me every single week. To find out more, head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/academy. All right. Thank you for getting to the end of this episode. I very much appreciate your listenership, and I hope that you'll be back for the next episode of the British English Podcast with me, your host, Charlie. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.